Welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat podcast, where we talk about all things awesome and nerdy. He's back again. Dan Finger Guns Tundis. Hey, Dan.
Heyo.
Hey. So we're just gonna get right into the nitty gritty of this. Spoilers ahead, in case you can't tell by the title. But we are gonna be reviewing the newest and bestest Captain Marvel movie.
Of many spoilers.
Hey, many spoilers ahead. So, Dan, shall we just dive right into it?
Yeah, I think we just kind of jump right into this, and we can kind of give our first impressions of the movie before we do plot. But if there's any kind of lingering doubts on whether or not this movie is worth your time and worth going to see it in theaters, I think I can put that aside and say, yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, this was an enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I liked it. I think.
Yeah, despite what all those haters are saying on Rotten Tomatoes, fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting into that with them, and I don't really care what those people have to say. I kind of rate Marvel movies on was it fun? Was I able to turn my brain off for a little while? Was it the best Marvel movie that's ever come out? No. Was it the worst? Absolutely not.
No, that still belongs to either Iron Man 2 or Thor or The Dark World, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, see, I don't hate Iron Man 2 as much as you do, but everyone always forgets that Edward Norton Hulk movie was a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And, that movie sucks.
That movie's not that good either, no.
That movie sucks. I don't think Iron Man 2 was that bad. Iron Man 3 was terrible.
I like Iron Man 3 slightly better than Iron Man 2, but...
Agree to disagree.
So let's just dive right into this. Dan, the plot of the movie is basically... That's kind of a tricky one. It's kind of a convoluted yet not convoluted plot, I felt like.
Yeah, we do lots of flashbacks in this, and that's really a big theme of this whole movie is kind of remembering who you are, not so much in the Lion King Mufasa sense of the way, but where you come from and what you're all about. So, I mean, the movie opens up on the Kree homeworld of Hala, which is kind of awesome to see, in the movies.
Right.
And we kind of open up into the whole struggle between the Kree and the Skrulls. Vers, as she's known in the movie, Carol Danvers, is working as a what are they? They're the accusers.
They're not. They weren't the accusers. They were just the Black Ops team.
Yeah, they were just they were like a Black Ops team of and then the accusers were around to as the heavy hammer. Yeah, so the plot is kind of convoluted, but yeah, we do kind of, I wouldn't say convoluted, but it's complicated and it's hard to sum up in a synopsis. I guess it would be Carol Danvers fights the Skrulls, ends up on Earth, learns more about her backstory, and saves the day. It's kind of the
that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's kind of the general plot. I mean, it's way more nuanced and intricate than that. It's interesting because I was talking about this earlier, is that it's kind of nice that Marvel is finding ways to make the origin story, superhero films, not feel like origin stories. We've done so many, Uncle Ben was murdered and then Peter Parker became Spider-Man type movies, that are very linear. And they're kind of finding new and interesting ways to kind of do this.
Agreed. This movie felt, I mean, it just seems like Marvel is Marvel is diving deeper into the whole cosmic territory now. So,
which I'm all about.
Yeah.
I'm
for it. I'm for it.
It's funny because it wasn't. I was expecting a bit more. I mean, I guess it's because when I think cosmic, we're so used to Guardians of the Galaxy, and the scale of that is it's so weird and grandiose and big, and the universe seems so wide. And even though this was an interplanetary struggle between two races that are fighting it out on Earth, it never really felt like it had that big scale. That definitely could be something that they're setting up for later on down the line, is a larger scale Kree v Skrull fight. But this one didn't really feel like the big universe. Watching Guardians of the Galaxy, or of the Avengers Infinity War. Like it feels like you have this big wide universe, galaxy, space to explore. And this didn't, even though we were on other worlds for different parts of the movie, it didn't feel that big to me. I don't know. What did you think?
I'm actually going to agree with you on that one. And for me, I think it's just because, so the way this movie opens up, Carol Danvers played fantastically, I might add, by Brie Larson. It just opens up with her and her squad with Jude Law doing a whole Black Ops Commando thing. And basically what happens with that is she gets captured, and then all of a sudden she escapes, and then she crash lands on Earth, and that's all within the first half hour of the movie. And pretty much once she crash lands on Earth, they're in Los Angeles for pretty much the rest of the movie,
Right.
save for like the third act when they go to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will agree. That's probably why, and that's why I'm going to agree with you on that one, because it definitely, I agree, it definitely didn't feel as big in scope as the other movies.
It doesn't, especially for someone who I equate as kind of. I mean, she is a cosmic hero. It definitely in later comics and like in current comics, she's very much a cosmic hero. But yeah, this one felt very terrestrial. Like it felt very Terran, if we're using Marvel terms.
I mean, I'm okay with it personally, like, because though I do enjoy that stuff, I mean, we're also like right on the back ends of Endgame, and I know for a fact, well, I don't know for a fact, but given how cosmic Infinity War felt, and I'm betting, Endgame is going to feel just as cosmic, if not more cosmic, I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do like what you said about how Brie Larson really did a great job in this role. And I do have to agree with that, because it is something that I think it and kind of a cross segue to the galaxy feel, the kind of humor that's injected in Brie Larson playing Carol Danvers. I keep wanting to call her Captain Marvel, but she's really not. Like she doesn't become Captain Marvel really at the end of this movie.
No, she doesn't.
I mean, like that's kind of like your big spoiler. Like Black Panther became Black Panther at the end of Black Panther, or kind of like in the end of the first act of Black Panther.
Actually, you know what the funny thing is? I've just learned that there are tie-in comics to these movies, because duh. And they actually have revealed in one of the comic books that T'Challa had been, by the time you see the Black Panther movie, T'Challa had been Black Panther for about a decade.
By the time you see the Black Panther movie, he had been Black Panther for about a decade. Oh, yep. Like because his dad was too old.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
But yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Like, he basically, I would actually argue he was basically the Black Panther before the halfway point of the Civil War movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, like,
I get what you're saying, though.
But yeah, in true essence, like at the end of this movie, like, Carol Danvers became Carol Danvers.
Right.
Like she found out who she was as Carol. But she didn't become Captain Marvel. Like I mean, no. She had the power, she had the suit, but she never had the name. And like, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things that like with the name comes that kind of like responsibility to it. You know what I mean? Like Steve Rogers is so much more than Steve Rogers when he's Captain America. He's a symbol of being Captain America.
Exactly.
It's kind of similar to that in the way that she not that I think it's a bad thing. It definitely leaves plenty of room for her role in Avengers Endgame. Maybe that's when she gets the code name, or in her second movie, because there's definitely going to be a second movie.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's.
I mean, this movie's already smashing records, so.
This movie was good. It was a fun spectacle. But I would say, like, as far as the cosmic sense, I think they do a good job of like bringing over like the comedic hero, over that Marvel has been doing for, I would say since like Guardians of the Galaxy is really when they started to do this. Iron Man, yes, but Iron Man was kind of like the outlier. And they were you kind of just got the sense that they were just letting Robert Downey Jr. just kind of like play and have fun,
Right.
But like Thor, not a lot of laughs, until
not
we
in
got
the first Thor, especially not in the second Thor.
No, and Captain America, no laughs, but like this
and actually none of the Captain America movies.
No,
nothing. There were some funny parts in Civil War, but not by Cap. Cap's not funny.
No, Cap's not funny, but like Brie Larson is funny. Like
Yeah,
she is funny. Like, well, it's not like she's like
she's a
haha funny,
smartass.
but she's she's a wicked smartass, just like kind of Tony is.
Well, I mean, she's a smartass in the comic books too, so that's kind of why I was appreciative of it.
Yes, well, she's from Boston.
Yeah, which again, very upset that they're not doing a Boston accent, kid.
I'm fine that they are not doing a Boston accent.
That's garbage.
I've read Captain Marvel comics where like Carol Danvers like goes back to her hometown, and it is like some of the most like cringy dialogue ever. You know, like they literally write it like into the dumpster, and they write like AH at the end of it, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
You see, I find that shit hilarious. So
It's so bad. It's so bad. I thought this movie was really well casted. I mean, just like not just Brie Larson, but I mean, you know, we got tons of Nick Fury, we got tons of Samuel L. Jackson, which is always great because I've been kind of like dying for you know, a Nick Fury movie, and like this kind of felt like the closest we'll ever get to a Nick Fury movie. Like he was really predominantly featured, more so than I kind of expected, to be completely honest.
Yeah, kinda. I guess. I mean, I expect him to play a big role. I just didn't expect him to play this big of a role.
Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, he was in there.
Yeah, it's also nice because this is a very, or not a very, but this is a different Nick Fury that we're used to seeing because you know
Yeah.
he's like 30 years younger, 20 years younger.
Right.
hmm
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he seems a little bit more wide eyed and bushy tailed than normal, which is you know by this point whenever we see Nick Fury, he's very
Jaded.
jaded, kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Which you know you kind of understand that at this point. So
Oh yeah. No, he's a
I also
super-
enjoyed seeing Phil Coulson again.
Yeah.
hmm
Sure. I get
Yeah,
that.
I actually wanted to see more of him, but you know that's what we got Agents of Shield for. So
Is that show still on?
it's got renewed. It's got renewed for. There's going to be one more like small season after Endgame, and then they're going to have another final season after that one.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah.
that show is always on the cusp of like being canceled.
It has been on the cusp of being canceled since like season 3.
Yeah.
I know you don't like the show. Whatever. We don't need to get into it.
Well, I like the Ghost Rider season.
Ah, yeah, that season was the best. It was kind of tough to follow that one up,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So definitely a lot of good humor in this movie. What were some other things that you liked about this movie?
You know, I really like Paul Mendelsohn. Just in that, like, I really think that he's just the perfect villain. Every time they need to cast a villain, whether it's Rogue One or Ready Player One or this movie, he also did a great show on Netflix, which I can't remember the name of it at this moment, but I can find it. He's just like he's always a great villain. He just has that great villain like presence.
Yeah, he was good in this one. Yeah, he played the main Skrull, right?
He played the main Skrull / Nick Fury's, you know, Skrull boss.
Right, Skrull Boss. This is a great one.
It was weird. It was weird that they. It was weird the way that they treated the. Just to kind of go like into the super comic book, like thing about it.
Yeah, comic book nerds. They're gonna throw you for a real curveball in this one.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, kind of yes, but kind of no, because I was like watching it, and even when I was like watching it in the movie, you know, we went through like this whole like Kree, you know, where these you know valiant heroes from another galaxy. What are they called? They were like valiant hero warriors, valiant warrior heroes.
Oh, noble warrior heroes.
Yeah, and then like the Skrull were like these evil, you know, blah blah blah, whatever
Terrorists.
and like yes, terrorists, and like not discounting that in the comics the Skrulls are the bad guys. They are. That being said, the Kree not that great either. Like
no, the Kree kind of suck too.
yeah, the Kree suck. Like the Kree are not our friends. Like the first time the Kree and the Skrulls ever like had a you know they had like a huge war and they used Earth as the battleground. Like super
yeah, without our permission.
Yeah, and the Kree were totally fine with it. They were like, no, it doesn't bother us. And like Captain America's like, bitch, what? No.
Yeah.
Literally, Steve Rogers had to go all old man, get off my lawn.
Well, yeah, duh.
So it was kind of funny. It was kind of weird. Like, yeah, I mean, comic book nerds, this one's definitely going to throw you for a loop in the way that we kind of pivot real fast and that, you know, the Skrulls are the bad guy, Skrulls are the bad guy. Oh, it turns out that the Kree aren't all that great either. And I don't know, man. Maybe you are like supporting genocide here, Carol Danvers. Maybe you ought to rethink your position on this.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
it kind of took a real. I mean, obviously they didn't frame it as such because Disney. But at the end of the day, it's kind of where we were driving towards.
Right, exactly. Like they pretty much just make it seem like the Kree are just out to get the scrolls and get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that they're like totally fine with like carpet bombing an entire planet just to kill.
Which they almost did.
Yeah, they were totally fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm definitely going to say I like that. I definitely enjoyed the whole. I mean, we've seen it before, but I kind of enjoyed the fish out of water story this time around, where she's basically used to working with all this crazy advanced alien technology, and the first thing she sees when she gets to Earth is a fucking blockbuster.
right.
R.I.P. Blockbuster.
And has to put together a communicator at Radio Shack with parts from a Game Boy
Exactly.
and like a radio transmitter and a payphone. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of like the throwback.
Younger viewers, this movie will confuse you.
Yeah, the throwback to the '90s were kind of nice in some places. The music, I wish that they had treated it a little bit better. Like it felt like it was just kind of not fan service, but it was just felt like it was thrown in like ad hoc.
Yeah, no. Like the scene where they started playing where she talks to the what is it called? The Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start playing "Come as You Are."
Right.
Like I kind of felt like they just put "Come as You Are" simply for the sake of, hey, remember kids, this is the '90s. Nirvana was really popular back then.
Right. Yeah,
and it's also the other question I had too is she's been away for like the past 6-7 years. How does she know who Nirvana is?
Right. Yeah, she left Earth in 1989.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe she heard
like
it on
Smells
the
Like
drive
Teen
up.
Spirit didn't come out for another 2 years.
Maybe she heard it while she was in transit, like during some of the off-cut scenes. But no, I agree with that. And yeah, I thought that there was definite like opportunities. I think like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies like always did this really well, where there was like diegetic music. Like I mean, the opening to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a perfect example of this. When like Groot and Rocket are like putting together the stereo that starts playing Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And then they fight to that, and then like the music stops when Drax like accidentally destroys the radio. So like there was a purpose for the music being there, like
exactly.
that works out like really well. And there was a scene in this movie where No Doubt is playing, and like she and Carol Danvers hit some guy into a jukebox, and you're like, well, that would have been your moment to like either start the song or stop the song, depending on how you cut this sequence together. Because like
she knocked somebody into a juice box in that scene. I thought she knocked somebody into a video game cabinet.
There was a video game cabinet. There was also a jukebox. There was also a pinball machine. There was like a bunch of like crap in that room. All of which would have like worked for like to put in some diegetic music.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like the music that they picked was like fine. And like was appropriate for the time period that the movie took place at least. But like they didn't do a good job of like weaving it into the story that like say Guardians of the Galaxy did, or even like Thor. Thor only used like one Led Zeppelin song twice. Thor Ragnarok only used one Led Zeppelin song twice, but both times, like when that song came on, you were like, "Oh shit, it's go time."
Yeah, exactly. Plus, they did the Led Zeppelin song that's all about being a fucking Viking and killing people, so it worked.
Right,
with a hammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought. That definitely like knocked a point off my grading scale for me, honestly. Like just the way that they treated the music. Not that I didn't like the music, but that in times it just felt like, they would like cut to a scene and there would be like TLC like playing, and you're like, okay, but why?
Just to remind you, it's the '90s. That's pretty much it.
It was the '90s. Yeah.
But I mean, by that proximity, like Tony Stark always listens to like Black Sabbath and AC/DC, but he never takes place in the 70s or 80s. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll agree with you on that one. Like, some of the music just didn't seem like it mattered too much to the narrative. Like, they played TLC, or they could have just as easily played Fastball. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it just didn't feel like purposeful. Like all the music in like Guardians of the Galaxy always felt like purposeful. Like when it was in the scene, and yeah, even Iron Man. Like to an extent, like it felt like it had a purpose in that moment, or it fit the tone. Some of these were just, like it was just tonally confused. You know.
Yeah, when they start playing No Doubt, I'm Just a Girl, I'm kind of like, eh. Like some Pantera would have been more appropriate for that scene, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, kinda, I guess, but I mean, we definitely revolved around the subtle, the not so subtle, girl power motif of this movie, which
Right.
no, I didn't mind. It was great actually, but
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the way that they like edited it in, like the way that they physically took care of the audio editing, could have been done with like a shade more finesse, you know,
Yeah.
to where it didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like I don't want to have to think about like, oh cool, I like the song. Like it just should be there, just kind of gets like woven into it. But honestly, that's
Mm-hmm.
like my only kind of big gripe about the film overall. Like that was kind of it. There were like some other things that I felt like, from a pace perspective, I thought some scenes went on a little bit, were a little long in the tooth, and didn't need, so much exposition up front. Um, but other than that, that was my like one big gripe with it.
Okay. Well, speaking of the whole not so subtle, girl power things, there is one thing and that I would complain about, and that would be the final battle.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so that actually is a good point. We did get to the point in the movie. I mean, the whole thing is about like finding yourself and discovering yourself, and we kind of do the whole Captain Marvel origin story in pieces as we go. And it turns out that she got her powers from the blast of this energy
A
sword,
science experiment gone wrong.
which is she pretty much gets her powers from the Space Stone, from the Tesseract. Um,
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Pretty much. And the Kree had put like a dampener on her, kind of like a governor, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure she didn't use too much power. She overrides that, and then she becomes completely OP. She literally goes Super Saiyan. That was my first
Yes.
thought when she like becomes all
Yeah.
like
Me too.
glowy and her hair stands up. Is that I'm like, oh, she's her power level is over 9,000. That's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I believe in the comic books they refer to that as going binary, but yeah, that's Super Saiyan.
Yeah, she went Super Saiyan. We know what it is. She went Super Saiyan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it made the it's funny because even if you are like OP like that, and it was one of the issues that I had when we decided to like switch villains halfway through, where it was like, oh, it's not the Skrull anymore, it's actually the Kree that are the bad guys. Even if you were like super OP, Goku, Superman, whatever, if you're fighting a villain that you can't find, that like shapeshifts down to like a DNA level, like you can't use that power to its full effectiveness, right? Like
Right.
you can't be the hammer because not everything is a nail.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's the Kree and they've got giant spaceships floating outside of Earth, yeah, no, sure, fuck them up,
Yeah, which she does.
which she does, and it makes the stakes of the movie at that point pretty much like drop right off because it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
she's a god now,
Yeah,
you know.
which which just makes me think, oh, okay, so when she goes toe to toe with Thanos, even with his fully powered gauntlet, she's gonna whoop his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Well, I
take
don't know.
which
That's kind of interesting. I mean, we never. This has always been a gripe about everyone who ever watched the Avengers movie is that none of the Avengers really used any of the Affinity Stones to their like benefit.
Mhm.
Um, and Captain Marvel. I mean, she does. Carol Danvers. I'm just gonna go with Captain Marvel. It's just easier. Captain Marvel is like powered by the Space Stone. Like that's what her power comes from. So like, is that one stone versus Thanos's six? Is that enough? You know.
We'll find out.
Although we don't know if the gauntlet is still operational and if the gems are still working or if they all shattered.
Yeah, because if you look closely at the end of the movie, his gauntlet is it's sparkling, or rather, I should say, it's shorting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it's seen better days by the time he makes the big snapperoo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. All I know is oh, and another thing I would actually like to complain about too is because first off, we don't know what's going to be happening when it comes to Endgame, but I got to say, didn't like the post credit scenes for this one.
Um. Yeah, that's fair. I definitely the second one I didn't like.
Yeah, the second. Well, the first one I didn't like just because I know for a fact we're gonna see that scene in Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some version.
Yeah.
Just like it was like at the end of Doctor Strange, where we
Ant-Man.
got the post-credit scene, which was pretty much redone in Thor Ragnarok anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Or an Ant-Man where they showed us a little teaser for Civil War.
Right.
Like, I don't like it when Marvel does that at all. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I did like the Stan Lee cameo.
Where he just keeps on saying "true believers" over and over again.
Well, he was rehearsing for Mallrats.
It was more okay. I didn't notice the script.
Yeah, he had the script for his Mallrats cameo. Yeah, so it was like a cameo within a cameo.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I loved like the little nod that like that Carol gave him. Like, we see you, Stan.
I feel like that could have just been edited in after he was gone, but who knows?
You know, I'm curious to know if that was done after he died.
Posthumous.
Thank you. I'm curious to know if that was done after he died or like if he actually filmed that. I don't know because I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. Like we did so much.
Yeah,
like,
it really could.
We did so much de-aging and facial reconstruction in this movie between Phil Coulson and Nick Fury that it was hard for me to tell.
Yeah.
That was done really well. Like, that was done...
I kind of feel like they spent the majority of the budget on de-aging both those guys.
Oh my god, like, half the budget was VFX artists and rotoscopists, and oh my god, yeah, like, absolutely. That was...
Yeah, I mean...
And it
to be quite honest with you, man, like, some of the scenes in the final battle, my Xbox 360 had better graphics.
You know what? The graphics were nowhere near as impressive. Like, the VFX were nowhere near as impressive as the de-aging that they did to Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly.
And, like, Samuel L. Jackson still looks good, but he's, like, you know, pushing 70.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, there was no point in the movie that I not believe that Samuel L. Jackson wasn't 40 years old.
Exactly, yeah.
At no point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, and also, you know, give it up to the hair and makeup, you know, team for Jude Law's hairline. Which is just a medical mystery.
Oh, Jude Law's hairline? Yeah.
Jude Law's hairline has been like, he's like been going bald but not bald for like 20 years.
I know, right?
It's weird.
Like, I'm actually looking at the photo they have for him on IMDb. It's like a total receding hairline, but one that looks like it started to recede and then just stopped receding.
You know what? If you're at home listening, just like go ahead and Google image search Jude Law's hairline and try and figure out what the fuck is going on with that.
Right.
You won't like it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would definitely say overall that this is a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would recommend it that people go to theaters and watch it. Like, I would definitely check it out. I'll watch it again once it comes out on Netflix or wherever. Yeah, this was good. This was fun. Like I said, this was not the best Marvel movie we ever got. This is definitely not the worst Marvel movie we ever got. I would definitely say it is on like the plus side of Marvel movies.
Top half, at the very least.
Easy. Yeah. Like, I don't even know. How many Marvel movies are we at now?
21, 22.
So it might be tough. Yeah, I mean, so if we're at 21, 22, maybe it makes it into... I don't know if it makes it into my top 10, because...
It doesn't make it into my top 10, but...
I don't know. It's funny. I would have to do my own list again to like rank them. And we have done a show where we ranked our Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like it's still fresh in my mind. Maybe. If it's not top 10, it's definitely like 11.
I'll give it top 15, definitely.
Yeah. And you know, that's actually pretty high praise, because there hasn't been that many bad ones.
No, there haven't.
You know? Like, I think it was better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Was it as good as Ant-Man? I don't know. Ant-Man was a lot of fun.
Ant-Man was a lot of fun, but I like Ant-Man and the Wasp too. Like, I kind of felt like I got more of the same kind of movie, not the exact same movie, but like pretty much the tone and everything like that. You know, like let me put it this way: Ant-Man and the Wasp could have been a not sequel, and I still would have been fine with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the thing about Ant-Man and the Wasp for me was that that was I would hate to be the movie that comes after Avengers
Infinity
Infinity
War.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's just tough.
So just out of curiosity, Dan, because this is now in less than 5 years, this is now the second female-led superhero movie that we've had. I got to know which one, this one or Wonder Woman.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, same.
Easy.
I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it since I saw the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Though I'm not gonna lie to you, I was expecting this movie to blow Wonder Woman out of the water. It is better, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that it blew it out of the water. You know?
Yeah, I think that they both had faults, but I think Wonder Woman had greater faults as like the overall plot line to it. It's funny because I kind of liked the backdrop of like Wonder Woman, like the First World War, more than I liked the backdrop of the early '90s.
Yeah.
And this one has a better villain, like an overall like better villain, than I thought Wonder Woman had. But,
well, I think Wonder Woman botched Ares.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Yeah.
It kind of did.
Yeah. All right, Dan. So, final grade. What would you say?
I don't normally like to do this, but I was looking online before we went to the movie, and then again after we went to the movie, and it looks like everything's kind of floating between like a 7 and an 8. Which I feel like is pretty fair and accurate for this. I would go like 7.6, 7.7. I think it's really good. I had some issues with it. I think that the sound of the music was a big one for me, especially because it felt like they were putting such an emphasis on it, and it just didn't work for me. The final battle was a little lackluster because she became so overpowered. And I don't. It's weird to feel like in my heart of comic book hearts, it's weird to feel bad for the Skrulls.
Right? As a comic book nerd, you're like, I don't want to pity the Skrulls. The Skrulls suck.
I read Secret Invasion. Like, we're not cool, you and me, Skrulls. Yeah. Like, we're not.
Yeah.
Cool.
So based on that ending, it looks like we're not going to get the Secret Invasion story arc like I've been wanting.
I don't know. I mean, we could. You know what the other thing is? I was really hoping for a Super Skrull, and we didn't get a Super Skrull.
Right.
Yeah. That's more of a.
I thought for one hot second we were going to get a Super Skrull when she had like that, where she had to fight like the big Skrull guy, but then it didn't happen.
Mm-mm. He got blown out the airlock, which is I don't know enough about fighting in space, but I know that whenever you are encountered with a problem, blowing them out of the airlock is always a solution.
Exactly.
Yep.
Something we don't see enough of in Star Wars.
Strangely, no.
No.
It doesn't work.
Except for that one time, but then Leia floated through space.
Yeah, that was weird. We don't need to talk about that.
That was weird. Let's not.
What are you rating?
You know what? I think I'm going to kind of agree with you. It's not quite at an 8 as much as I would like it to be. I'm probably going to have to go with kind of what you were saying, like a 7.7.
Yeah.
I'd like to give it a full 8 because that means it would be exactly 1 point fully higher than Wonder Woman. And this isn't me trying to like bash Wonder Woman and give it like my whole Marvel is better than DC thing, but yeah, Marvel movies are better than DC movies.
I don't even think that's not even debatable at this point. Like there is no debate. Marvel movies are better than DC movies. Full stop. They put a period at the end of that sentence. There is no
exactly.
There is no continuation about that. But yeah, I agree. I think that like 7.7, 7.8 is like a fair score for this movie. It's always fun to go back and revisit and rewatch these movies in a couple of months because like the first time I saw Doctor Strange, I loved it. I raved about it, and then I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, this isn't as good as I thought it was.
No.
I'll see. Like I said, we just saw it. It's still kind of high on my hype list. I'm a big Captain Marvel fan. Maybe on a second watching, I'm like, oh, this is actually better. Like that happened to me with Black Panther. I loved Black Panther, and then I watched it again, and I was like, oh, this is better than I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Or sometimes you go the opposite way. I'm not saying that necessarily about this movie or Black Panther. I'm just saying it happens.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, Doctor Strange. Like, I loved Doctor Strange when I first saw it in the theaters, and I was like, it was like going to the movies on acid. And then I watched it at home, and I was like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. it really is just an okay movie. The visual effects in Doctor Strange were amazing, but that's about the extent
Yeah,
of it.
I mean, I give huge props in this department of Marvel of making a superhero origin story not feel like a super origin story, because those are getting really boring. But they
Yeah.
keep finding ways to do them like really fun and inventive, and to keep it fresh, and that way you don't bore the audience to tears in the first act. You know?
Oh, that's why I loved when Kevin Feige said we're making a Spider-Man movie. Don't worry, we're not going to go over his origin story. Everyone was like, "Oh, thank God!
Oh, thank God.
I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again."
Nope.
Nope. Nope. So yeah, that's gonna do it for us on that one, I guess. I'm giving it a 7.7. Dan, you're giving it like what, a 7.8?
7.7, 7.8. Yeah, just about.
Okay. Alrighty. And before we go, ladies and gentlemen, it is with a heavy heart that I have to tell you this, but I might as well get this announcement out of the way. This show is coming to an end soon. We've been running over the numbers, and things just aren't going as well. So basically, by the end of this month, we are going to be closing out the Daily Chat podcast. It's been fun for the last 2.5 years, but sadly, all good things must come to an end at some point.
Yeah, and we're thinking of ways to kind of rebrand this and remarket it, and I think we might talk about opening this up just to, maybe we do separate podcasts where we do one just about movies and we do one just about comics or something. I don't know. We'll kind of figure through it.
Yeah, we're not. Dan and I aren't going away for good. We're just going away for now.
Yeah, it's not like anybody's gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like anybody's going to really hear this message anyway. So, all right, everybody. But we do have something. We're in the works. We're going to plan something big for the final episode. So just stick around. We got a couple more episodes left. I don't think we're going to make it to Endgame, unfortunately. But hey, that's life, right?
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. All right, Dan. As always, thank you for being on the podcast, and thanks for seeing the movie with me. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, everybody. I would tell you to like, share, and subscribe, but it doesn't matter because this show's coming to an end soon anyway. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for us. Dan, once again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All righty. All right, everybody. Bye.